What's up everyone, and welcome back to Nexus. Every successful franchise is bound to spawn several hundred dubious knockoffs, with unoriginal copycats hiding around every corner to steal ideas from the real creative innovators and market them as their own. There have been copycats ever since Edison took his idea of the light bulb from the half a dozen lesser remembered other people who invented the light bulb before him, and the relatively new venture of video games is certainly not immune to this. Watch this video to find out the 5 worst video game ripoffs. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get new content similar to this every day. Also, make sure to comment down below letting us know which was your favorite. And for this video, let's see if we can hit the golden like button, which is 1,000 likes, so make sure to drop a like down below. Number 5. Pokemon Go was one of the only good things to come out of the horror show that was 2016. It promised to get kids and adults alike up and off their couches and out in the real world, looking around and exercising as they lived their dreams of hunting down Pokemon and being a Pokemon trainer. And of course, there was somebody waiting to capitalize on it. While this isn't as bad as some of the other ripoffs on our list because it actually kind of manages to justify its existence, the comedic value of it means it earns a place on this list. Somebody created an app called Pokeballs Training. It features some hideously rendered 3D Pokemon and promises that by playing, you'll increase your aptitude for catching Pokemon in the real Pokemon Go. Of course, this doesn't make any sense because this app was made by a third party. It bears no relation to the physics or game mechanics of the actual Pokemon Go. It's like saying because you've mastered every song on Guitar Hero, you're bound to be able to be a world champion competitive Street Fighter player. Becoming amazing at throwing balls at weird-looking mutant creatures in Pokeball training doesn't mean anything for Pokemon Go. It might even make you worse at Pokemon Go than you already were, having the complete opposite effect. Number 4. What is the best-selling video game franchise of all time? Well, the answer won't come as a surprise to anyone. Of course, it's Mario, the Nintendo franchise that has sold well over 100 million copies during its lifetime. But copies of the side-scrolling platform are everywhere, and by everywhere I mean on app stores for cell phones and other portable devices. Of course, no mainstream console could get away with just ripping off the Mario Brothers, but on Apple, Android, even Google, you'll find hundreds if not thousands of Mario clones. And while some of them come pretty close, it's not exactly a difficult formula to replicate. Some of them leave much to be desired. While a lot of them have at least a consistent art style, the laziest and funniest have to be the one called Classic Mario Jump, where you can skillfully run around an incredibly pixelated and saturated background to run away from old Microsoft Word clip art. None of it is remotely coherent, with some of it looking more like Worms or Angry Birds than a Mario game. And it makes you wonder who the developers thought they were trying to fool. Like, people wouldn't be able to recognize the iconic style of the Super Mario Brothers. Then again, all it is a side-scrolling platformer where you jump on enemies' heads and collect coins. So I suppose the game isn't really all that different based purely on its mechanics. And they probably all work pretty well when you're just trying to pass the time, even if some of them do look like garbage. Number 3. On November 19th, 2006, gaming history was made when Nintendo released the Wii. There's probably not a single person watching this video who can't remember the mass hysteria caused when the Wii was released, with viral videos circulating the internet all through that Christmas showing kids screaming with joy when they got this console. While being inferior in terms of graphics and hardware to its competitors the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, the Wii was a pioneer during the motion control craze of the late 2000s, a craze which also saw the creation of the Xbox Kinect and the PS Move, which have since died out of popularity. However, while the Wii made its competitors rethink the way games were played, it also made a couple dozen other people rethink this, in terms of some purely astonishing attempts to rip it off. First of all, there's the originally named V console, which didn't even have motion controls at all. You just shook the controller to make it work in its rudimentary copy of Wii Sports that looks like it belongs on Atari. Then there's the Zone, the MiiWii Extra, and the Reactor. All of them total copies of Nintendo's original idea. Maybe these consoles are a good thing for people who just can't afford to get their kids the real thing. However, we doubt that's what their creators had in mind. Plus, at $250 when it was first released, the Nintendo Wii will cost $150 less than the Xbox 360 and up to $300 less than the PS3. Number 2. As if the Wii ripoffs weren't all bad enough, one Chinese company has made it their primary goal in life to copy as many popular game consoles as they possibly can. These bootleg catastrophes are called POP stations, and they're just tiny little LCD games like the kind McDonald's used to give out, or that you could buy kids to keep them entertained playing Monochrome Snake or Tetris for hours on end. They're at that level. They are allowed to exist simply because the technology to create video game consoles can't really be patented. Otherwise, one company would have a monopoly, probably Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo, so all sorts of this cheap knockoffs exist. Not that you can really play the same games on them that you can on mainstream consoles, they have their own lines to rip off games as well. Some of my favorites of the games that appear on these fake consoles are Munch Time, Piranha Man, Pac-Man knockoffs, Super Mary, a Mario clone, about 5 different duplicates of Pole Position but with different vehicles, and the laziest one of all, a version of Tetris simply called Brick Game. Yeah, they couldn't think of anything more original. And possibly the worst game of all to feature on these fake POP stations is a ripoff of a game called Submarine Battle from 1985, and infamously used genuine images of 9/11 on its packaging. Well, who on earth thought that was a good idea? Number 1. By far, one of the most successful games of last year has to have been Blizzard Entertainment's pioneering first-person shooter, Overwatch. Overwatch is a name that's been on everyone's lips since it released last May. A game which prides itself on its smooth, high-quality graphics, its interesting and diverse characters, its range of game modes, and its constantly updated content. It even won 98 Game of the Year awards. So of course, a game that's always improving and is this successful has spawned duplicates. And one of these can be found in The Legend of Titan. Looking at the trailer of this game, it's painful how much it's like Overwatch. It basically is Overwatch in everything but name, but with an incredibly low frame rate and graphic performance, not to mention some pretty gory blood splatters. Some of the videos of this game on YouTube even had to be removed because of copyright infringement. The Chinese development studio were actually asked about this though, and they had a few things to say for themselves, like it was all just some test of their own gaming technology. They even claimed that they'd make it more original, which they had better do to avoid the mother of lawsuits from Blizzard. To me though, it seems impossible that they can make this original by any means other than just creating a totally new and completely different game, which seems unlikely if they had to resort to this in the first place. That was our list of the 5 worst video game ripoffs. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss a video in the future, and hit that like button too so we can hit the golden like of 1,000. Other than that guys, thanks for watching. Peace!